Hey everybody, I just wanted to hop in here and explain what the stereo out track is as well as the master track. So when you're in the mixer view here, which you can get to by pressing X, you'll see all the tracks and channels for your session. And there's a difference here in that some of these are audio tracks and aux channels, and they are what are assigned to be sent out and output. And then there are a couple tracks here that don't have an output assignment. So we're going to ignore these two for now, the stereo out and master. So when you see all these tracks, each one has its fader and a pan knob that allows you to position the track in the stereo field with the pan knob and adjust the volume with the fader. All of these tracks, once they've been panned and ran through this fader, they get summed at the output that they're being sent to. So the stereo out, all of these tracks are being sent to the stereo out, the sum of which you can see at the stereo out channel. So I'll play some audio here. This is a live mix I've been working on today.
But you're pulling my heart right out of my chest, my dear.
We're getting signal. We're getting signal at the stereo out. Watch what happens when I turn all the faders down, excluding the stereo out fader.
Get to love you is what happens.
I'll start adding some back in. So you can see that the signal on our stereo out channel is a sum of the signals that are being sent
Well, I
to it.
don't wanna have to bite my when
So what this means is that when you have your mix, you can come and adjust this
you're
stereo out fader
around.
and effectively turn it down or up in this way.
Well, somewhere along the
And while that might seem to be a good idea, and there are certainly times to utilize that feature, ideally, if your signal coming to your stereo out channel, if it's too quiet or too loud, you want to adjust that with the channel faders themselves. So let's say your overall mix is too loud, and let's pretend there's no automation on this session. So we would just come and select all the channels and turn them all down uniformly, and that would turn down the overall signal that we're seeing at the stereo out channel. Conversely, we could do that by turning them all up and increasing the signal going to the stereo out channel. And so in practice, you really want to leave this stereo out fader at 0. That's just good gain staging practice. There are times when it might just be easiest to turn that down a little bit rather than turning down all the tracks, especially once you start automating, but that's another topic. So sometimes you might have certain tracks going out output 3 and 4, some other tracks going out output 5 and 6, and so on, especially if you're using like a mixing console or analog summing of any nature. So let's just change the output of this vocal track to 3 and 4. So you'll see a new output channel was created here that's going to show the signal that's being sent output 3 and 4, which is only the vocals. You'll see as I turn down the vocals, which is the only thing that's assigned to 3 and 4, there's no signal in output 3 and 4 now. And when you put vocals back in, suddenly there's signal. So these output channels, no matter how many you have, whether it's just the one stereo out or output 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 going as well, no matter how many you have, they are all controlled ultimately by this master volume fader. This is your overall Logic volume fader, or knob for all intents and purposes. This is also the volume fader that exists at the top of your session at any given time. Just like with the output channel strips, it's good practice to leave this at 0 and mix into it, meaning if you want stuff to be louder overall, you'll make all the individual channels louder, and vice versa. So to kind of recap that, all of the tracks and channels that have an output assignable to them that you need to assign to an output to be able to hear, these are audio tracks or aux channels, they all feed to these output channel strips. No matter how many outputs you have, let's just go back down to stereo. So they feed to the stereo output channel strip, and then the output channel strips feed into this master fader. And that is the kind of overall signal flow of Logic and the output staging.